A great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. Um, Depending on who you ask, well, actually, no. Let's start with the best news. It was a very good day for wrestling. Reja Jackson has been arrested as of Thursday morning. His bail is at 50,000. I don't exactly know the charges as of now, but I can't imagine it's not attempted murder on a one psycho stew. So at the end of the day, there was some justice. No, Kaliko.
I mean, I was just talking to the guy, a friend of mine earlier. It's felony charges, which, which you say it's great. I don't think it's great because usually felony charges, when it requires a bail, it's usually six figures and up, and 50K for a person of Reja Jackson's caliber. Not saying that he's not perfect, but his dad. See, his dad to make bail is 10%, so 5K. That's easy money for a guy like his father. You see what I'm saying? So to me, I get the justice angle of it. I just don't agree with the bail. Um, it's great that he got arrested because that's what I've been trying to tell everybody in the first place. More likely it was going to happen. It was just a matter of who was going to cooperate, what was the information that was going on, how can they cooperate a charge? What I mean, yeah, the video gives the information. However, they need more than just I mean, a video can help, but personal testimony also helps in the angle of the video, if that makes sense. Because when it comes to these charges, they have to charge it beyond a reasonable doubt, not just off of what you see with your eyes. So,
Well, I mean, there was enough
be happy.
witnesses at the show.
There was enough witnesses, but the question is how many witnesses were willing to cooperate with the police? Because keep in mind, like I told you, as a guy who had a person there, the police was not supposed to have been called.
Right.
So that further complicates things. So when you got someone who called the police to something where the good old boys thought that the police didn't need to be handled, that's a whole different animal. Because you got one person who's like willing to cooperate, and you got 20 to 22 other people who are like, I'm not saying shit. But they'll go on podcasts and say shit, but they don't cooperate with the people that matters. And that's where it gets complicated. And that's why I knew it was going to get complicated.
Well, I mean, obviously, the people that are, keeping quiet, so to speak, they have a loyalty to Nox Pro, Rikishi, their coach, their mentor. But, how much loyalty could you have for somebody when, clearly laws were broken? And I'm not saying that it was Rikishi's fault. I mean, Rikishi wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. Um, but it's again, how much loyalty could you have to somebody when laws are clearly being broken? I mean, there has to be a line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that point, but clearly there's a rift because the person that called them is now no longer even associate this. Okay, insider information. The person that actually made the call is no longer associating themselves with Nox Pro. So, and Nox Pro has been, and if you look at Nox Pro's Instagram, they have been very quiet since August 23rd, which clearly is either prior to the event or somewhere close to the event.
Right.
So they've been very quiet since then. So kind of gives you the vibe of what's going on, especially as a wrestling school. So I can't speak to all the guys and gals that are in there, and I can't even speak for the guys and gals that graduated from there. Because yeah, you're right. There is a there. Yes, laws were broken, but there is a locker room code. You know what I'm saying? So clearly something happened to where one person they felt broke the code and no one's talking. And it didn't even matter because they lost the thing that they valued the most, which was the WWE ID.
I mean, let's say, for, argument's sake here, the police wasn't called. You don't necessarily need to know what a work and a shoot is to see that there was something definitely not kosher when it came to that segment with Raja where he took
Jumped in the ring.
yeah,
Correct.
like anybody could see that. And if the cops weren't even if the cops weren't called, I feel like the cops would have gotten involved at some point. Especially when Stu went to the hospital. I can't imagine his face wasn't burger meat at that point, where some doctor was going to say, "Well, what the fuck happened to this guy?" You know what I mean?
Right. And I get that, and this is where I'm gonna put my military hat on, and I'm gonna show you where the wrestling business is somewhat like the military community. They feel like there's never a situation that they cannot handle at the lowest level. Meaning that no matter what happens, let's mitigate it at the lowest level possible before it gets to that point where it's public exposure, embarrassment for everyone. Now, unfortunate for Knox, there was a person who felt that that was above reproach, and rightfully so, because who are we to dictate with our own eyes who sees what, right?
Right.
But the culture when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to the locker room, I think is similar to the military, where they feel like if something happens, let's try to handle it at the lowest level possible before it gets to upper chain, because when it gets to upper chain, no one can control it. No one can control the outcome. And that's what I think the guy, I'm not going to say Rikishi in particular, but I'm just going to say the guys in the locker room felt that way, if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
So that's why I'm of it. I get what they were wanting to do, because if they could handle it at that level, they could. But the problem is when a guy is having to go, because it's all good to say that you can handle it, but the problem was he's going to have to go to the hospital, and it's going to be hard to explain a mofo fell down the stairs when it's clearly looks like he's been beaten, punched in the face like 32 times. So that's where you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then not to mention the social media age where Raja was streaming it, people were filming it, so all of that was out of their control. But even with all of that out of their control, they probably felt like they could have controlled the environment. Right or wrong, they still felt like they could control the environment.
Well, when it comes to these people that are no longer part of Knox Pro, I that's a conversation that we could have off air. I would probably say, but there was more than just one. A couple left Knox Pro. No.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know for sure the person that I know, well, I used to know personally, is no longer. They changed everything to not even be associated with Knox Pro. So there is a falling out of sorts with it. I now the question is how deep does it go? Because I there are certain wrestlers that I'm trying to look at and see who are they still associating with them. Who are they associating themselves with Knox Pro? Right?
Right.
Like, I mean, their biggest star that is on the indie scene right now for Knox Pro is J Rod, and J Rod associates herself being trained by Rikishi and Count Pearl, but not really associating herself with Knox Pro Wrestling, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so and I get it from, and I think that's something that she's always done. So I'm not going to sit up there and tell her I'm not here to fabricate that she betrayed or whatever the case may be. Right?
Right.
I'm just going off what I see. And it's just that it honestly is the biggest people that hurt are the people that were potential students and current students that were looking at that school as a way on the West Coast to get showed by WWE. Those are the biggest losers.
I would say that, does a WWE ID help? Yeah, of course. But, does it mean that your ticket to WWE is, completely closed at that point? I mean, absolutely not.
No,
And there are
but it's a hell of an easier ticket. It is. I'll put it this way. It's like, and this is my take. It's like college degrees. Every degree is usually the same, regardless of what you did for the curriculum, right? But a degree from Stanford has a hell of a lot more of a status than a degree from, let's say, Louisiana Monroe, or prime example, a degree from Stanford has a higher tenure than UC Irvine, and because you're on the West Coast. USC has a higher tenure than San Diego State. UCLA has a higher standard than certain colleges. So I'm not saying that it's the end all be all, but to get you in the door, that thing, that moniker, that having that WWE ID is essentially what attracts the school more students. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which means that brings their revenue, which brings, you see what I'm saying? So it's a domino effect, if you will.
Again, it's not. I completely understand what you're getting at, but it's not the be all end all when it comes to getting signed. So,
I agree.
There was, people from the indies got, signed well before, ID became a thing. And a lot of the talent that are signed ID didn't actually come from those schools that, are mentioned. So, it's still, you could still get ID without being from an ID school, and there's so many variables to it. And I mean, if you're the hottest thing on the fucking independents, WWE isn't going to be looking at you. Come on.
Well, the only devil's advocate I would play with that is that they also have WWE NIL, which is why they're looking at other college athletes to get them into NXT. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I'm a guy or a wrestler and I am going to wrestling school and I am going to a wrestling school with a WWE ID and I'm having to go against let's say a volleyball player that happens to have the WWE NIL, which one do you think they're going to take first in their class? And that's where I think, and that's where I think it's the apples and oranges because WWE already once they went into the NIL game, they're coaching athletes to convert to wrestlers. So therefore, the people who are in the wrestling business need something to put them on par with the people with the NIL. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm playing that devil's advocate. So if I'm a guy who's 18, went straight to wrestling school, went to a WWE ID school with the hopes of trying to be on par with a WWE NIL signee, that would make sense. You know what I'm saying? So I get you're saying it's not the end all be all because, of course, I mean, there's multiple routes. But in this day and age, one route is the easy. Most people are trying to take the easiest route and the most guaranteed route possible.
Right. Well, I mean, just getting back on track, the moral of this story is, Reja Jackson, again, was, put in...
Serve justice, and I don't know why we sidetracked off.
Yeah. So, it's good. I don't know, what's going to happen at this point. As of this recording, I believe he is still contained. His dad...
No, he's out on bail. A $50,000 bail. He's probably processing out the same day because to get bail is 10%. 10% of 50K is $5,000. He can easily. His dad can scrounge her $5,000.
His dad said that he was not bailing him out, and that he.
But I'm pretty sure he can scrounge her $5,000. Like that.
His dad actually cut ties with him. So, I do hope that Psycho Stu actually gets something out of this because I can imagine getting.
He's got a lot. I think the world got an eye on his story, and I think the support and the outpouring of support for him is I mean, it's going to be never ending at this point. So I don't. To me, the biggest thing for him, that I wish for him, is a speedy recovery as a veteran because I've been there. I mean, as a veteran, I want to see him do well.
Right. So, I mean, yeah. Well, hopefully, Stu can come out of this, for the better. I believe we mentioned last time, wrestling was a safe space for him, and, that safe space kind of got, disrupted by Reja. So hopefully he could view wrestling that way again and, go back into a good place. I hope it doesn't, put him in a bad place is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Right. You're hoping that it just, this doesn't mean the end all be all for him, and that's the ultimate.
Right. It doesn't define him or, even his career at this point. And, the second part about it, the thing I'll say is, I hope that this actually helps Reja. Clearly there's some mental health problems there. And, he's not getting the help he needs right now. And maybe this will help him to actually get the help that he needs to actually be in a good place, mentally, where he could be, a better person than he was when he, attacked Stu. So, hoping the best for everybody.
That is true. Although, I mean, it's going to come to him. And unfortunately, he won the respect, but does that mean the respect... The respect obviously doesn't seem to be worth it when you got the world on you. You know what I mean? So...
Right. Somebody that doesn't have a lot of respect in WWE right now is a one Andrade El Idaho. Excuse me. He was released earlier this week. Quietly moved to the alumni page of WWE. There was no official statement. He just, went quietly into the good night. I mean, depending on who you ask, there's a lot of rumor and innuendo circulating right now when it comes to Andrade. He may have failed the wellness policy twice. There might have been some attitude issues with him. Not not showing up for shows and kind of wondering where the hell he was. There has been issues, getting a hold of him just in general, where he would just be MIA. I don't know how true all of this is. Uncle Dave, if you believe what Uncle Dave says, said that WWE had some buyer's remorse when it came to Andrade. Which, if there was anything that I actually believed out of all of this, speculation, it would be that WWE had buyer's remorse when it came to him. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm an Andrade fan because I'm not. But he never did anything to sway me to become a fan of his. They put so much on him as, like the new Rey Mysterio or just that new, Mexican star that was going to, break through. And he never was, and he never could be. He didn't have the personality. He didn't have the charisma. God knows he couldn't talk on the mic. Spanish or English, to be completely honest. He was just, all around, just personality-wise, was just a wet paper bag, if I'm being honest. And where you could probably genuinely tell when somebody isn't necessarily enjoying what they're doing. He was one of those guys as well. So, for me, Andrade's run, especially this last WWE one, was all negative on my side of things. And, I don't think that anybody's going to go back and say, oh, well, that was a hell of a run he had. He was there because Charlotte was married to him. And then she wasn't married to him anymore. He was no longer there. But what's your
I mean, to be quite honest, I can say this. Half the world was probably thinking the countdown was on once that divorce got announced.
Oh yeah, I think we said that live on the show.
The moment that divorce, I was like, okay, people are gonna be asking how long is he gonna be there? What's the over under, right? Which to me,
was it like 6 months?
Was it 6 months? I mean, the divorce got announced in what? December, January?
Yeah, they kind of got.
It got announced before Mania.
Right, because Stephanie made the comments, you're 3-0 in marriages.
Oh, 0-3. But anyways, but yeah, the announcement, yeah. So it had to have been like April, so May, June, July, August, about 6 months. But I mean, the announcement was between then. I disagree to say that he was like the personality and stuff wasn't there because otherwise he wouldn't have had the bangers that he had in NXT. I just think that people really thought everybody knew that him and Zelina as a duo was kind of the thing, right? And Zelina's not going to be a duo with him. Because, I mean, she may have worked with him, but she's married to Aleister, and I know Aleister is not that. From what I've seen, Aleister is not that kind of dude to be letting other dudes work with people he likes. So you see what I'm saying? So it's got. So to me, he was kind of handicapped from jump, and I think he's a good worker, a good talker. He wasn't good on the mic. I mean, there's a gang of people in WWE that are not like there yet on the mic that they're giving chances to be there, right? So it's the mic thing to me wasn't going to be the issue. I think the issue is just something must have happened over the weekend that it became the final straw, because they don't just like to me, WWE just doesn't randomly let go of motherfuckers unless they really got a reason to. Or they just, like, you know what I'm saying? So, to me, something must have happened. Like, he no-showed, he's not answering calls, he's not answering texts, and he's kind of like in the effort mode, which makes kind of sense, because think about it, they were kind of pushing him as a singles, then they tried to put him in a tag with Ray Phoenix, and he had the match at SummerSlam, and you know what I mean? After that, it kind of been like kaput. So,
right.
So I can see a person of Andrade, because keep in mind, Andrade gave up the mask to do this. It ain't like he, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he sacrificed nothing. You know, he gave up a tradition to do it.
But I agree with that, but like that was in the last, his first NXT run, where, you know, he was
right.
wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, you know, happy to be there. We could probably both agree that that was not the Andrade they came back, like 2 years ago?
I mean, the Andrade they were looking for was the Andrade that was NXT champion.
And they didn't get that.
That was putting out bangers with Johnny Gargano. But my thing is this: everyone, what have they done to put him in a position to do so?
But what reason did he give them to do so?
And yeah, it's a two-way street. So it's like, to me, it's like, yeah, you're not the person that we expect you to do, and I can see him going, well, ever since the Charlie divorce, I can make the argument you really kind of pushed me in the background.
I wouldn't say that at all, because they wouldn't have put him in that. I mean, he was a part of the Money in the Bank match, and you know, and
he was the crash and burn guy. He was the crash and burn guy. Come on.
I remember when we previewed that show. I was like, you have all these banger wrestlers, and then you have Andrade.
Well, a Grande Americano is not a banger wrestler.
What are you talking about? Chuck Gable is a fantastic wrestler.
I can make the argument that the Ludwig El Grande is better than the Chad El Grande.
That's a completely separate debate that we'll have another time. But you have, I mean, you were there. You were in. You watched Money in the Bank. Huh? When
I was there, we were there.
Right.
We were there.
When Penta came out, that place fucking blew up for Penta. Huh? You know, one of the biggest luchadors. He had that place going.
Got the mask.
And Andrade came out. Crickets. Exactly.
Didn't keep the mask.
Zero pop.
Penta kept the mask.
Well,
they didn't keep the mask.
I won't even say keep the mask. I mean, it may make him more mysterious. But, you know, Andrade came to WWE when his first run. He came to WWE where they desperately needed, you know, a Mexican superstar.
Mexican star.
You know,
yeah,
and
they were looking for the Alberto Del Rio replacement.
Right. And now, you know, Dominic Mysterio, I mean, he fucking blew up. Like, he's
I know, the motherfucker from San Diego is the most over Mexican wrestler. Goddamn it. Like, ain't this shit? The motherfucker from Chula Vista is the most over. Goddamn.
You know, Pentagon, he's been upper mid-card since he's been there. Even Santos Escobar, Angel and Borto, have they been major players right now? No, but they had a couple of banger matches for AAA. So I mean, they're using them, effectively. They're not sitting in catering. Um,
I mean, but they're giving them the opportunity to do so. And I will say this: I, I'm not gonna say Penta in itself. When he came in, he lit the world on fire. It is what it is. Because the one thing Penta has that Andrade doesn't is a slogan.
Zero
He
Miedo.
has a slogan. He has a slogan in which no matter who you are, any ilk, you can relate. Zero miedo, zero fear. So that is a thing. My 9-year-old son, who's half Mexican, don't know shit a lick of Spanish, but he will yell "Cero miedo" like it's nobody's goddamn business. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, don't say
So
that he
they,
doesn't know anything. He at least knows that Kaliko is supposed to be spelled with a C.
how dare you, son? Anyway, how dare you? But anyways, but he knows. But the thing is this: he gets. That's what it is. The kids get the slogan. Andrade, unfortunately, never had the personality to have that slogan. At best, he had was like a fist in the air with Zelina Vega, who is now married to Aleister Black, and Aleister Black is protecting Zelina Vega like it's the Heisman Trophy. But that's a whole
As he
nother
should.
issue. So, as he should. So that's my point. So it's like, I mean, the count, like we said, it all circles back to the countdown was on when the divorce got announced. it, it pretty much is. And it's unfortunate for him because he can wrestle. It's just that the personality hasn't gotten there.
Right.
Him being personable, because I would have thought they would have used. If I were him, I would have used that to gain something. If you're gonna sit there and be like, okay, you're Charlotte's divorcee, I would have at least used that to gain something out of it. And he didn't. So I mean,
You know,
but then again, that might be his pride, and so I can't really speak for him. Yeah.
you know,
It's
all,
fun fact. I saw them at Royal Rumble 2019, and they were like all lovey dovey, and I was like, oh shit. And now it's like, oh shit. Yeah,
well, and like you, like you said, they didn't put him. What position did they put him to succeed? Like I said, he didn't give them a reason to put him in a position to succeed. Case in point, Dominic Mysterio. You know, he, he has every right to say I'm Rey Mysterio's fucking son and be, somewhat arrogant about that. But, like what? A year and a half ago, he was the fall guy for a lot of the Judgment Day's matches. He ate the pin 9 times out of 10. And, because he took the opportunities that were given to him, albeit not all the best opportunities, it landed him CM Punk's first match in WWE in 8 years. So, you even it goes back to making chicken salad out of chicken shit. If you don't have the ego to say, okay, well, this isn't great, but it's an opportunity, you can do something with it. You know what I mean?
you're not gonna put that on Dominic. 'Cause Dominic is over and ain't shit changed about him. What has changed about him? I mean, ain't shit changed with Dominic. It's
But
just the people's perception of him changed.
and he got that awesome mustache as well. He didn't have
That,
that much.
that ain't the point. Name me one tangible thing he changed about himself that is not physically appearance wise that got him endeared to fucking the people.
It's not about the changing
It
something
is.
about him
It
himself.
is.
It's about people can clearly see the work that he's actually doing, and that he's not just running over people, and winning all his matches. He ate a lot of shit before he got there. He went
I mean,
from
Andrade.
he went
What the
to
fuck Andrade did?
it could have been very difficult for him to get out of the stigma of I'm only Rhea Ripley's boy toy to what he's doing today. He's a bona fide star today, and
Bullshit, because Seth Rollins busted his ass with that kendo stick. Nah, 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 nah. I refuse to believe it. My point is this: people connected to Dom because he has the aura and the personality, and Andrade does not. That's the biggest. Honestly, that's the biggest difference. And plus, Dominic talks his shit as much. He is as Gen Z alpha as you can get, but he gets the Gen Z alpha crowd. That's why I think he's going to be the next guy.
he is the next guy.
He is the next
100%.
Gen Z. He is the next Gen Z guy coming up because he understands that culture,
And
especially being a descendant of a Mexican wrestler. So he's an American citizen who is a second generation American citizen that also is Latino and is Gen Z. Oh, he checks certain boxes and he does certain things where it's like, oh shit, you can't help but love this guy.
what are you talking about? Rey Mysterio was born in Mexico.
Bro, they hail him from San Diego, California.
But
You can miss me with that bullshit.
he's not.
San Diego has a 6-1. San Diego is a 619 day. They ain't doing that for no immigrant.
But to be a second generation immigrant, you have to be. The first person has to be born in that country as well. Rey Mysterio was born in Mexico. He's first generation. Second generation,
Whatever.
third generation.
San Diego claims him like it's nobody's goddamn business. So you miss me with that.
I mean, Goldberg's
As they shouldn't. It would be TJ. It would be. Is that Carlos Santana? Carlos Santana is from TJ.
I mean,
He ain't
technically,
claiming San Diego.
Goldberg wasn't born in Georgia, but Georgia calls him their own.
Because he went to UGA and played for the Falcons. You can't get more Georgia than that.
Exactly. You don't need to be born somewhere for that place to claim you. Same thing with Rey Mysterio. He moved to San Diego. He got big in WWE. He's San Diego.
You should see the look on my goddamn face.
These things are the same.
Not the same. Anyways.
Well, going to our next bit of news, it doesn't seem like a lot could trip up Dom Mysterio at this point, except that his sister, Aalyah Mysterio, has begun wrestling training. She's training with Natalya and TJ, Tyson Kidd, I should say, and kind of seeing where that goes. I do wonder where. I am generally curious how that would go because there are so many like built-in rivalries for her to kind of come into WWE with, but and I mean especially considering Dom if Dom is, I mean Dom's still going to be there, with Dom being there and all, it is going to be interesting what she'd be able to do, because at one point she was actually more over than Dom, and she wasn't even in the ring.
Oh man, because you just slapped the shit out of him at Mania 39.
Oh no, the storyline with her and Buddy Matthews,
That's right. Oh shit, I totally forgot about that shit.
which is, if she does get, into pro wrestling, that's a built-in rivalry with Rhea. You took my sloppy seconds. I could have had them, but I let them go. You're welcome. You know,
That is not gonna happen. She'll go straight to Dom before she go straight to Rhea. Rhea will eat her for fucking breakfast. What are
but,
you talking
but I mean down the line, and then there's obviously a rivalry with Liv. If Dom is still with her at that time, it could be Roxanne in a couple of months. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I mean the opportunities would be endless for her. And clearly there's some charisma there. She has some charisma because she got over when Dom was struggling to get over.
Well, Dom wasn't struggling to get over. People just didn't like his ass because they thought he was a Nepo baby. That's what it was. It wasn't the fact. See, that's the thing I tell you, because Dom got over because he proved he wasn't a Nepo baby.
I believe you're saying Nepo baby.
Nepo, same goddamn thing. They thought he was just there because he was privileged until he got his goddamn stripes and earned his way there.
Right. I mean, I don't think that
Nepotism.
Dom wasn't really good getting over tag teaming with his dad. It was just something that really wasn't Dom. Starting that was really wasn't Dom at his best at that time. That was his Cody Rhodes, I'm teaming with Hardcore Holly, phase. Obviously, after he was done with Hardcore Holly, he turned heel and he, teamed with Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase. I could make the same argument that was, Dom's, Hardcore Holly phase.
I mean, Dom was getting tossed out the fucking top rope by Roman Reigns. You can't get no more Nepo than that. Just saying. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying. Like,
If
that's.
if Aalyah Mysterio actually does join WWE, what do you think the possibilities are?
I mean, that women's division is mad stacked, so it's she's in the back. She's in the back. I'm just saying, because they are high on Roxanne. They are high on Julia. They are high on Bakure. They are like, she's gonna have to come. She's gonna bide her fucking time.
She really has to prove herself.
Yeah, kind of like how Dom did.
Yeah. Um, somebody possibly coming back is a one Shayna Baszler. Um, NXT Homecoming was Tuesday, and there was a segment backstage with Shayna Baszler giving a pep talk to Sol Ruka and Zarya, which prompted speculation that Shayna might be coming back to WWE, but maybe not in a role that in a wrestling role like you would expect from her, but actually, as a coach slash producer. I would think that there would maybe be a couple matches here and there, but um, I think that would actually be really great for Shayna. She obviously understands pro wrestling psychology and, what it kind of takes to get over. Fewer people were more over than her, when she was women's champion there. And she has the discipline to teach people. So I could maybe say that you could put her in the same category, possibly, potentially, I should say, potentially in the same category as a Natty Neidhart. Um, but what are your thoughts? Do you think that Shayna could actually strive as a coach or a producer for NXT?
The, when I say it depends, it truly depends. Because I mean, they brought her there, but the clear thing is that she's still kind of associated with Ronda, which clearly tells me that they don't really care about what Ronda said. They still brought her in, so clearly they like her enough to keep her around. So that's the biggest hurdle, because keep in mind she wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Ronda. Um, so
Yeah, I would agree with that.
so to me that hurdle is over. So that to me, with that hurdle being over it, the sky's the limit for her as a producer. Although I still think she can go. I still think she can go.
How how old is she?
What, like 30s? She's got to be in her 30s.
Hold on, I'll tell you in one moment. I mean, it depends on. I would say that you know, age would be the main factor, and she's 45.
Damn, she's 45? God damn.
She's 45. So I mean, that tells you right there why they think that an England career is kind of at its end right now.
Holy shit, she's 45?
Okay, and you know what? I'll say this: she looks great for 45.
Bro, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that is your fact.
Damn, Shayna.
Your fact of the night.
God damn, girl. 45?
Yeah, 45. Here we go. So I mean, yeah. She's 45. She's obviously, if she does have matches left in her, she's in the twilight of her career. You know, but
Damn, so that means wait a minute. So 8 years ago she was in her. No, because Asuka's roughly around the same age.
she is.
So that's why I don't believe that shit. Asuka's in her 40s.
But Asuka got over immediately.
Same with Shayna.
Shayna,
Asuka's 2 years younger.
but
4 years younger.
Shayna never
40.
really
Wait a
got.
minute, how the fuck she's 40? Wait, whoa. Hold on, let me. Wikipedia's tripping. Shayna Baszler was 45 and she was born in 1980. And Asuka's 41, 43.
But what I'm trying to say is Asuka has
Yeah, she's
always.
43. Oh, she turns 44 in about a couple weeks. So, yeah, okay. Roughly about, well, she turns 44 in about, what, 6 days.
But what I'm trying to say is Asuka never had an issue connecting with the fans to get over when it came to WWE, in the Vince McMahon era. So, she won the Royal Rumble, she wrestled, Charlotte. A lot of, when Becky and Charlotte were literally the two titans of, WWE, who won the three-way ladder match? It was Asuka. She was on top of both of them. So, I mean, Asuka's always been over. And, I love Shayna.
Bullshit, because Asuka's got a WrestleMania problem, but that's a whole nother issue.
That's a whole other debate. But what I'm trying to say is Shayna struggled to get over. They tried to give her, those, opportunities, but she never really, had that connection with the fans, either as a heel or a face. So you're trying to get somebody over at 45 rather than somebody that's been over for more than a decade at this point in Asuka. I mean, yes, she's in her 40s, but she's been over, well before that. So it's easier for people to accept. Yeah, you get what I mean?
I get that, but I can make the argument that her NXT run was roughly the second craziest run in Oscars.
It was. And if you heard the pop that she got from the crowd, the people still remember it and they still respect her. She's over with NXT fans. She's not over with WWE fans, and that's
Well, because they brought her in. She got in what 2020, which is COVID year.
um yeah, roughly.
So there was no crowd there to accept or reject her.
I will agree with you on that. I will definitely agree with that. Well, talking about Shayna Baszler's pop, Bobby Roode zero pop. uh, Depending on who you ask, the crowd was muted for some reason. During his segment with Charlie Dempsey and Joe Henry. Um, which is kind of sad because I mean Bobby deserves people. He deserved the pop, and to not hear it kind of broke my heart.
No shit. I'm like, bro. It was funny because I was going back on my videos and I'm like, man, Bobby Roode was like, oh god. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that one. I, the crowd. If it's the crowd, shame on them. If it's WWE, shame on them. Because that dude, man, he was a guy, man. It was funny. The only thing I hate about him is the fact that that motherfucker introduced a new belt the day after I spent $500 on the belt. It's just but other than that, it's still a guy who deserves his flowers.
Oh, for sure. Um, Another guy that's getting his flowers right now is Joe Henry. That was also in that segment. It is strongly believed that Joe Henry will be joining WWE next year. He'll be signing with WWE in 2026. Um, yeah, so WWE clearly believes in Joe Henry. He's been featured heavily on NXT, with a few notable appearances at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So I mean, it makes sense that they're gonna actually want some return on the investment.
Well, yes,
Um,
of course. I mean, but
mhm.
him at Mania was the ultimate return, right? Like I was.
I mean, they didn't get like. I mean, I feel like the ultimate return is merchandise sales, and they
Oh
didn't.
no, his merch was at Mania. No, 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 no. That's what I'm telling you. His merch was at Mania. When he popped, when he showed up, it was there.
But does WWE get a return on that and that merchandise, or does that go to TNA?
If it's in the WWE shop, why the fuck wouldn't it go to WWE?
Because he's not a WWE contracted wrestler.
Bull, I call bullshit. They wouldn't put anything in there that they wouldn't get a profit off of.
You're not wrong. Well, you are
They
right.
would not put they would not put anything in there that they ain't making a profit off of.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about that. Um, but those were like one-offs. So, I mean, obviously they see something in them clearly. So, I would imagine sky's the limit of what they could actually do with him. I'm under the consensus that we would have a Joe Hendry Drew McIntyre tag team because that would just be fucking hilarious. You know, Drew would be down on his luck, mopey, and Joe Hendry is, obviously a shining light of positivity. So, him trying to get Drew McIntyre excited about life, like, take my fucking money. But what say you? What do you think that they might be able to do with Joe Hendry?
I mean, he's already there. They put him in a position to where he was with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I can see them putting him in a position where he might get a. I mean, I'll put it this way: if they put him in a match with John Cena towards the end of his career, that tells you how high they are on him. And he's been calling for that for the longest.
Well, I mean, they better do it soon because they're cutting it really close.
I mean, hella close. But that ain't the point I'm making. The point is that like he he's clearly been already invested. To me, my my thing is, I don't think he's a TNA guy. He's just a WWE dude waiting to transfer. Like
He's waiting for his transfer papers.
no. He's already been accepted to WWE University. He's just waiting on the semester to end. That's pretty much what I think of Joe Hendry.
That is a great way to put it. So, I mean, yeah, we're just kind of waiting on that to, actually happen. So, um, I do hope that it does actually work out because, Joe is like just a genuinely good dude. So, I do hope that it works out for him. Um, Speaking of, you know, well, actually, let's talk about this one. Um, Keeping up on NXT Homecoming, this show started with um, Triple H and Shawn Michaels having some light banter, um, DX things, yada yada, which prompted Triple H to tell Shawn Michaels, "I want NXT back." William Regal came out and said, "Well, it will take place in War Games." You know, a lot of people took this as just a joke, just to get everybody on the show, obviously. But other people are prompting this a as some type of return for Shawn Michaels and to get him involved with in WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia, where they will do some type of War Games match, um, and for control of NXT. I didn't necessarily see that in that segment, but some people are convinced of it. What say you? Hmm? Kaliko?
I mean, it threw me off because I was like, so which War Games will be the one that goes for it, the men or the women's?
I would assume the
Because
men.
because if it's the bakery, Sean's got it hand down. Like Sean got the bakery hands down. Like I don't know, Triple H, bro. You might not want to go with the women's side. He got way more dozens than you think. Um, so that leads me to believe that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of who and which side, men's or women.
Well, I would assume that it would be the men. Well, actually,
No.
but you actually prove a good. You actually make a valid point. If this is actually going to be a thing, and sooner rather than later, then the men would be the Vision, um, um, Seth Rollins' group versus Roman Punk and their groups, and the women will be at NXT versus WWE for Control. I mean, that's a possibility for this year. Um, um, but like I said, a lot of people are speculating that this is something that's going to happen at WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia.
I mean, no. I think it would be the women. Nah. It would have. If it's the women's, Sean's winning. Unless he puts fatal influence in it, then they're not winning.
Wow. just just completely shit on JC.
No, it's not the fact that shitting on Jay-Z. It's just the fact that are rather, they are more fractured, right?
Mm.
So that's why. It's not a knock on them as a wrestler. It's more of them in the storyline.
True. Well, I mean, again, this it doesn't seem like this is happening, sooner rather than later. This is happening, this is a down the line. They left it open if it is something that they want to revisit.
Bullshit, that's gonna happen. William Regal does not come out and yell war games for no goddamn reason.
Of course he did. It was WWE. It was NXT Homecoming, their first time in Full Sail in like 4 years.
And that's my point. Like, they're gonna have the match.
Well, we'll put
They're
that.
going to have that match. He's not gonna yell that, and they're not gonna have the match.
Well, we'll see what happens there. Again, I'm on the consensus that it's not going to happen anytime soon. But
Shit, that shit's gonna happen in San Diego. You can bet your ass it's gonna happen in San Diego.
um, something that's not happening in San Diego is WrestlePalooza. Um, ESPN is it will be the first PLE on ESPN. And once you know it, there's already bugs when it comes to the new ESPN app. Some people, it is available for some individuals at no cost, whether you have, a subscription like YouTube TV or Hulu Plus or,
Bullshit. I got YouTube TV, I gotta pay it.
and that's what I was going to say. It's not for everybody right now. You still have to pay the $30 to actually view this PLE, which, needless to say, left a lot of bitterness with WWE fans right now. Because it's clearly a tactic that they want, the $30 rather than, hey, you get this for free, goodwill. No, it's, fuck you. Which is kind of
I mean,
WWE's,
no, it's a TKO thing. It's TKO. Let's just. I'm done with telling people it's a W. No, it's a TKO thing. Triple H is only doing what TKO is demanding of him. Like, as much as well, it's not like Triple H is taking over WWE as a mom and pop shop. He's taking over. He took over as a guy who was under another guy who's under another guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting the blame on Triple H.
No, but my point is that the blame is not to be for WWE. The blame is to be with TKO because WWE in itself, if they know one thing about their audience, it's about the fact that they want the kids to be there so they can make the money off of the kids asking for things, which TKO clearly doesn't get because they are used to the UFC crowd, which is more adults who may or may not have kids, but they still go to these events anyway.
Right.
That's a whole different. And that's as a person who's been to both. So that's why I say the things that I say.
But, again, it's not something to blame WWE, Triple H for. It's obviously, TKO is just being, greedy at this point. But, and maybe ESPN for that fact as well. But I think that this might be the lowest viewed PLE ever. And they have Brock Lesnar and AJ Lee on the card. Do you think that that's actually a possibility? Or do you think people are actually going to shell out $30 just to see this one event?
Well, from what I'm seeing, you got a mix of bars that are holding events for these things, and they're charging $30 a head, which I'm like, I might as well spend the $30 and chill at the crib.
Exactly.
Or you got
get a free entree with that, or free beer at least?
I don't think so. But my point is that there's three different crowds. I mean, there's a multitude of crowds, but I'm just going to break it down into main sectors. The ones who are going to pay for it no matter what. Mm-hmm. That's one. The other extreme is the guys who are going to VP in it and take Stephanie's advice and VP in that bitch and fucking do whatever they do, right? So those are the two multitude extremes. And then you got the ones who go to a bar to go hang out and do it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's it. That's roughly three groups. Or the ones who get it and try to see if they can password share it and then go that route.
I mean, there's just, the people that will straight up bootleg it or pirate it.
Or the people who internet hack it, because there are internet hack channels that will show it regardless. So that's what I'm saying. There's a multitude of ways to get it. Honestly, it's only a United States problem, which tells you that the United States is a consumerist country. We just buy shit for no reason. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. So in this regard, most people are either going to VP in it, like Stephanie said, or buy it. Because I see a couple people going out to bars and doing that shit for wrestling, but it just depends. It just depends on what people's flavors are. It's too many variables, to say the least.
Right. And, it's not a matter of, people finding ways to get it. I'm stating more of like the metrics of it. When you watch it on Netflix, ESPN doesn't get those metrics. When you watch it at a bar, ESPN doesn't get those metrics. It's for the amount of people that are watching it compared to the one stream, it's a whole different thing. And, if you're straight up pirating it, then they get no metrics whatsoever. So, from ESPN's perspective, that's why I'm saying it might be the least viewed PLE, I won't say ever, but, pretty close too. It's definitely not going to be highly, competitive. Because, I'll say this. When it came to, paid previews, there was not a lot of options when it came to, watching WWE paid previews. It was, you just order it through the cable provider. There's nowadays there's a wealth of ways to, find alternatives. The only
Hmm.
goodwill that WWE had when it came to their PLEs was, hey, they're $10, and you get all our other content as well. So you get $10 a month. It's not that much. It's a happy meal at this point, or a cup of coffee from Starbucks. You have all this media and content. That's goodwill, and $10 is a much more desired number than $30. You know, a lot of people aren't going to. That's when people start to find the alternatives. Is when the price goes up and you're getting less content, and it's going to show when we see WrestlePalooza.
Hmm. How many people missing Vince now? But that's. But then again, you're missing the point. Vince knew his audience. TKO does not.
Exactly.
That's two different. And so it
Yeah.
just grows down to that they're not knowing the audience that they think they're going to, because you got people who have families and they feel like that they are priced out of this market, and that's perfectly reasonable to feel that they're priced out of this market. And that's why I always say the saving grace for this is the fact that they're having less of these events. So that way you're able to catch it when it comes to your time. Because that's the market. The market is less is more. So people are more willing to pay more to get it because it's less coming. It's not like how it was, and it's funny because I was going through my video. That was crazy. And in 2018, in December, I had Monday Night Raw in LA, Tribute for the Troops the next day at 32nd Street, and SmackDown that night, literally in Sports Arena. And that is not happening again. That will never be. And I had to come to the realization that that is not going to be a thing again. House shows are not going to be a thing again unless you are super international like Mexico, South America, or Europe and like Saudi Arabia or Perth or whatever the case may be, like overseas, because it wouldn't make sense for them to send them all over there and not do it, right? So the American house show is dead,
Yeah. More or less.
and that's where it's you know and that's where it's like the saving grace. So the saving grace is you don't. I mean, I hate that the people are priced out because you don't. If you're in Wichita, Kansas, maybe you got to travel to Kansas City to do it. But it honestly it truly sucks because I kind of miss the house show element of it,
Oh yeah.
because those people really do get to see. That's where the people who are like, damn, I'm stuck in fucking Marietta, Georgia, and they're not coming here for a Raw. Like, why would I have to go to Savannah? They would have to go to Savannah, Athens, or Atlanta. And to those families, those are the people that are out of pocket. But maybe those people are comfortable with being out of pocket, and you know what I'm saying. So it's. But I do miss the aspect of the house show. Hell, even an NXT house show.
Right. Continuing on WrestlePalooza, it's hours away at this point. Uh, John Cena and Brock Lesnar will be opening the show. Um, I would have thought that this would have closed tonight. For obvious reasons, but I get that Brock doesn't work on the hour by the hour, and he wants to get in, get out, get on with his life, and to a degree, maybe Cena feels the same way. And I mean, you do have Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship as well. So, I mean, you have to have a bookend. So, um, I would have been a little bit reluctant to put that, on first, considering they're on a new app and may considering, there are technical difficulties with those things, not the wisest decision, but I digress. Um, what are your thoughts about John Cena and Brock opening the night?
They're there for a good time, not a long time. And I think it's going to be a no contest. That's just me.
No, no contest.
Yeah, they wouldn't put that first without a definitive winner.
No, I think that there'll be a definitive winner
They're
this
going
time.
to Perth, sir. They're going to. You can bet your ass they're going to Perth. Um, they're going to Perth, but that's what it screams to me. But then again, this isn't the first time Brock has opened a show. WrestleMania 35, he opened the show against Seth. So it's not like it's out of his forte.
Oh yeah, no,
So, I mean, but if you're going to be on ESPN, the point of it is to get the eyeballs in first, right? And then keep them hooked for the long haul.
right. Um, Speaking of eyeballs, nobody's eyeballs has been on this guy for quite some time, and that is Keith Lee. He kind of resurfaced earlier and said that he's not done wrestling. He will be in the ring again. I don't know how true that actually is. I just genuinely want him to be, happy and healthy. Last time we saw him, he did not seem healthy whatsoever. Um, I don't know where he necessarily fits in the pro wrestling world in 2025, considering, he hasn't been on TV for like what, maybe 3 years at this point? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but, I could be wrong about that. Again, I just want him to be healthy, happy, and, you know, if he's pushing something, I wouldn't necessarily push it, but, that's just me. Maybe he feels differently.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. The biggest key is to make sure that he's healthy and he's at a good space physically, mentally, and psychologically. So that's always first and foremost. But and then if he's able to get to the wrestling, we will all be happy to see him as if he never left.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's a new version of Keith Lee or not, because I can't imagine that he's going to be able to go the way that he did before he left. Um, but maybe a new style will fit him better. Who knows?
I mean, if he works more big, I think he'll be okay.
I agree with that. Right. That'll conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.